So, as I said, this is the introduction to Scolaris. I'm Tasha Mellins-Cohen. I also have my colleague Colin Caveney with me.
Hello.
And we will start by introducing you to Scolaris, unsurprisingly. This is an integrated content delivery platform that we have been working on for a number of years. It's evolved over various versions. And the concept behind Scolaris is that we can combine very many different types of content, as you'll see on this slide, into a single platform or a single site. So we are expecting to aggregate many different types of content into one place. That means not just searching over them, but actually making them interact effectively. You will possibly know that our background at Semantico, prior to the HighWire acquisition, was very much in the arts and humanities space, and with a focus primarily on the various different flavors of book, from monographs and textbooks all the way through to major reference works and serious databases. However, we have targeted this particular demonstration of the Scolaris capabilities slightly more towards the STM field, as we understand that that is going to be of more interest to HighWire customers. So without further ado, I'm going to take you into a discussion of the first of our sites for today. This is the Endocrinology, Diabetes and Metabolism Case Reports site, which we built a number of years ago for Bioscientifica. It's very similar to a journal site with some distinct differences, as you'll note on this slide. I'll show you the taxonomic enrichment, and I'll also show you what we mean by integrated search and browse. So if this is willing to play nicely, there we go. So this is the EDM Case Reports website, and what you'll see on here is something very familiar. You've got your standard journal navigation with your cases and your editorial board. You've got your standard homepage. If I choose to browse by cases, what you'll see here is a fairly extensive list of various different types of taxonomic enrichment. So you've got the demographics enrichment, clinical overview, diagnosis, and so forth. This site is fully open access, so I do encourage you to go and have a play if it is of interest. If I now choose to go from cases into a specific clinical overview, in this case pancreatic cases, you'll see that I've dropped straight into search results. This is what we mean by integrated search and browse. I've got into this particular page through the browse functionality, but I can also search for pancreas and I will get the exact same user interface. This is a great example of don't make me think design, where we're trying to eliminate some of the stumbling blocks that a lot of less experienced users are coming across on a typical journal site. So if we jump into this particular case report, what you'll see up here is some of the tags that you would have spotted before in the cases browse, and you'll see we have a huge amount of enrichment associated with this case. Each of these items can be used to trigger a new search, and so forth. So integrated search and browse, heavy taxonomic enrichment in a very simple user interface designed to make it as easy as possible for users to get through to what they want quickly and easily. You'll also see down the side here something that you'll come across in many of our other sites, which is this multiple facet and filter option. So I can drill down very quickly and stack up multiple facets, multiple ways of filtering my results down to only the things that I am specifically interested in. Slideshow. So that's EDM Case Reports, very similar to a journal site. I'm not going to dwell on it for too long. Getting much more into the real integrated content concept is a pair of sites that we have built for McGraw-Hill Education. The first of these is Access Science. It in itself is a major reference work, and it has a huge amount of content of many different types, as you'll see here. So we've got the dictionaries, we've got multimedia, articles and research reviews. But we also have these two very different content types in the form of interactive projects and curriculum maps. So if I jump us into Access Science, so this is the Access Science homepage. Again, you've got your search box, you've got your browse facilities, but what you'll see up here is projects and for faculty. Just going to sign in very quickly. I thought I'd already done that. Do apologise. So if we jump into these project pieces here, you'll see there's a whole series of projects around the topic of engineering and materials. So I'm going to have a look at the skull candy because it makes me think of headphones. What can I say? This particular project is at skill level 1-star, which means it's relatively straightforward. And it's designed for, generally for any users of the Access Science platform to experiment and do their own interactive projects. So it will include a things that you need item, which usefully includes a cost indicator, modeling and printing instructions, and it literally talks the user through exactly how to tackle the project of creating one of their little candy skulls. There is also a video explaining how to do each of the steps. So this is a really great teaching tool for, well, in this particular case, food science and technology, which helps students really get to grips with the content in Access Science in a different way from just reading or just watching a video. We also have the for faculty. So this is really cool. The team at McGraw-Hill have created what they call curriculum maps, which are designed, if we take this anatomy and physiology one, to provide faculty members with a very accessible, easy to use mechanism for teaching. So in this anatomy and physiology class, we have a series of course topics, so starting with terminology and histology, going all the way through to the reproductive system at the bottom. And within each of these sections, so looking at terminology and histology here, we have a series of assets, whether they are diagrams, digital images. Further down you will see photographs and videos and so forth, with a description of what the asset is. So if we have a look at this particular one, you'll see that we've given the faculty member direct access to an anterior view of the human body. And they don't have to sit and construct their own list of resources for a course or for a class. It's all there ready for them. Now, of course, we do expect faculty members to go and pick and choose and do some slightly different things, but feedback is that this is actually really a useful piece of kit. As you'll see, it's quite a long list and it includes some nice animations. I'm now going to find out I don't have good enough webinar for the animation to play, but we'll see what we can do.
A nerve impulse is an electrical current that travels along dendrites or axons due to ions moving through voltage-gated channels in the neuron's plasma membrane.
As I said, won't play the entire thing for you, but as you'll see from that, we have integrated video players directly into the site. So we're not popping out to YouTube or a third-party tool in order to deliver any of these animations or videos. And of course, as you would expect for any decent website with this amount of content, we have related articles, we have related media, and actually, because Access Science includes a lot of biographic information, we have related biographies down here too. So that's Access Science. Excuse me, just one second. So, moving on, Access Engineering. Not entirely dissimilar to Access Science. We have the same level of integrated content. We actually have some even more different content types in that particular platform. But we also have some nice advanced tools ranging from interactive graphs through to a very cool piece of kit that we built in 2016 called the DataViz Material Properties Platform. So Access Engineering, as you'll see here. I'm going to just jump straight into DataViz, which probably could do with a login as well. That'll teach me to get this stuff set up before I start. So DataViz is a visualization tool designed to help, again, faculty members, but also students and working engineers explore the properties of different materials in a very visual way. So this required us to go all the way back to the basic principles of data visualization, working with third-party subject matter experts as well as with the McGraw-Hill team in-house. And we have two options here. We can go straight into finding a property value for a single material. So if we look up Lumina, and I want to find out about the thermal conductivity of this, I will immediately get a response here. So far, it's a very simple lookup. It's nice, but it's not that amazing. I also have the option to compare thermal conductivity for all the materials in the database. You'll see I've now got this lovely little dot plot, which has popped up. I can control what shows up in the dot plot by dragging things up and down. I can show just the things that are selected and in range. I've got a lot of control over this particular plot and what I'm seeing in it. I also have a long list of tabular data, which will explain to me an awful lot more about the materials that I'm looking at here. Again, so far, it's just a dot plot. Where it gets really interesting, where it gets very interesting, yes, that's fine, I don't want this one. That will tell me that I haven't used this for a while, I do apologize. Where it gets very interesting is where you start to look at more complex projects. So this is an example project set up. Why is this logging me out, Colin? I am having an IP issue. I told you that was an issue with Wi-Fi. I do apologize. Let's go back to Access Engineering and see what happens here. Sometimes just rebooting it makes a big difference. So I can, here we go, that's fine. So this is a sample project which has been set up to demonstrate the capabilities of DataViz. And in this particular project, we're asking students to select properties which are suitable for aerospace engineering. We have some blurb for each page of the project, so for example, the density. We have multiple pages within this project where we can compare different properties. So in this one, we're comparing density and specific gravity. We can deselect or select all materials. And if you look here, I've just deselected metals, and these are now no longer showing with a ring around them. I can reselect them and they pop back in. The nice thing about this is that anything I do to one of these dot plots, so for example, let's pull this right down and say I don't want to see anything that's high density, I've immediately impacted on the gravity, the specific gravity dot plot, as well as the density plot. So this is a really good way to tie all of your charts together. That's data visualization, which did not go quite as smoothly as I hoped. I do apologize. The next slide in here is for Colin to handle. So we're going to pass over and start looking a little bit more at some of our humanities work.
Thank you. So yes, well, Brill. So Brill Reference Works is one of a trio of sites that we have produced for Brill over the years. And let me just go into it for you. Just retrain my fingers to Windows instead of Mac. So as you can see, there's a whole host of titles on this particular platform, covering a really broad spectrum of subject areas. So you've got biblical studies, classical studies, just general history, law, languages and linguistics. Really, really broad set of content. And we've been working with Brill for, gosh, over 10 years. And in all that time, we've always been providing a website for them that really can handle very complex multilingual data. And here's one, thankfully, we've copied earlier, because I haven't got a hope in hell of typing that one out. So that is theos, which is the Greek word for God or deity. And I can provide a search for that on the platform. And as you can see, we come up with hits straight away. We go into that particular content item. It's hit highlighted. So all of this content is really richly indexed. In fact, you can see that it's multilingual. So this is actually German and Greek together. And within this platform, we have content from a real spectrum of languages. So we have Hebrew, German, French, Islamic, English, a whole plethora of languages in there, and that's something we've been doing for well over 10 years. So that's a default feature of Scolaris.
So one thing to note about the Brill sites, while we can support integrated content, we have, for these particular family of sites, kept reference works, bibliographies and primary sources independent of each other. So it's another example of how Scolaris can be used.
Quite. And then really finally is Drama Online. So this is a very nice site. This is an award-winning platform that we've produced for...
It doesn't like my screen, Control minus. So I do apologize. I am particularly short-sighted, so my default text size is extra, extra large, which makes some of our sites look less than brilliant.
Anyway, so this is an award-winning platform. It's over 2,000 plays, videos, audio tracks, from content from Shakespeare through to modern-day classics. And the great thing about this is that Bloomsbury and their publishing partners have really created a very rich data set, and that has enabled us to provide some advanced search and display features within the Scolaris platform. So I will do a search for hero. Now, very similar to the STM sites that Tasha was demonstrating a moment ago, we have quite a rich classification and taxonomy to filter by here. So you can filter by setting or a particular theme or particular play type. However, there are some more interesting tools that we've developed specifically for this content set. So one of those is Find a Monologue. So you're about to go to an audition for your latest and greatest play. So you can use these tools to actually find a specific monologue based upon the part you wish to try out for. So you can choose your sex, how many words you wish to be able to cater for in that, or you can actually search for a specific play. So you may have a merry band of actors. So Tasha and I are going to start the inaugural HighWire Amateur Dramatics. So I need to find a play that has one male role and one female role.
I really hope you can find one.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of other places that you can filter this down. So it's a really fantastic tool for all of the students and the dramatic societies out there that they can plug in a number of variables and find a correct set of plays. So I'll do a quick search here for what Tasha and I are going to act out for you. There we go. So April in Paris, and there you go. So I found a play very easily. It's got one male, one female part, and we could then read through that play and see if that's something we want to put on. Because we've got such rich data that enables us to perform those searches, we can also visualize that within the site. So we have this section called Play Tools, which is really nice, and it enables you to see the actors within the various acts and scene within the particular play, and how many words they get to speak throughout the text. Now, obviously, this is a small play for just 2 parts, so I will find something a bit more interesting. There we go. So Cloud 9, as you can see, has a whole variety of roles throughout the play, and you can see by the size of the dot, it's how many words or how important the part is within each scene or act, and below you can see how many words are within each of those acts and scenes, and you can actually filter that further by choosing specific parts, so you can compare various parts throughout each of those acts and scenes. So it's a really nice way when you're trying to find a play to study or to put on, to really understand the prominence of each role and how they interact with each other through the various scenes. And also through this rich data that we have, we can do something even further, which is produce play part books. So if I choose Edward here in scene 3, what this does is it actually just filters out all of the words that Edward utters throughout that scene, so that instead of having to print out or carry the entire text around with me, I can just print out my part and take that away and learn that to my heart's content. There's also some neat things that we've done here in that we've retained the page fidelity from the book. So again, when we were creating the website, some of the research that we performed with the various lecturers and users of this system is that they often do have the physical book as well, and so being able to tally up what they see on the screen with what they've been reading in their textbook was really important. So every play actually has all of the words. As you can see, this flows very nicely for online reading, but if I need to go back and refer to that in the textbook, the page is always there and available to me. So that's just really an example of, if we've got some really rich data, then Scolaris as a platform can visualize that in some really exciting and helpful ways. Well, that's a wrap on our demonstration this morning. We'd like to thank you all for sticking with us, and as you can see, there are contact details for both Tasha and myself there for you to.
I have got a question. Ooh. So this is good. What is the basic approach and workflow for collecting and providing the enriched content that makes these sites possible? So I'm sure you're going to be unsurprised to find that we do ask our publishers to provide us with well-structured and detailed tagging within the XML that they provide. McGraw-Hill mostly use DocBook. We've got content in NLM. We've got content in bits. We've got content coming to us shortly in bits 2. DocBook TEI, yep. Dublin Core,
or even entirely bespoke arrangements. Yep.
Yeah. If anyone does have other comments, apparently the Q&A questions is working, so feel free to send me any more questions, and I will take them and try to answer them.
But certainly related to that data piece, that's one of the key parts of our project, is that we will analyze the data that you have and be able to revise on any additional tagging or clarification on existing tagging, so you get the very best out of the user experience.
Yes, my team and I spend quite a lot of time doing data mapping. Okay, well, there don't appear to be more questions coming through. Oh, hang on. With the data mapping, are you looking at existing tagging? So we do a combination. We look at existing data that is sent to us by each publisher. So as a rule, for each publisher, we create what we would call a content matrix, where we link each DTD that the publisher is sending us into the various features and functionality that data will support. Where a publisher does not have particularly well marked up content, we do advise on changes, and at least partly because I really love XML, I make sure to keep an eye on what is happening in the world of data schemas over time. So I think that was the last one. The content matrix addresses individual tag sets, so that within the content matrix that we produce, I've got lots of questions coming from Susan, I'm afraid. Within the content matrix that we produce, each schema is linked, is analyzed separately and mapped to the Scolaris data schema. Cool. If there's anything else, Susan says thank you. I'm assuming to me. If there's anything else anybody has, as you can see, we've got our email addresses on here. Please do drop us a line. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have. Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll speak to you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye.